Unverified presence. Because what if the moon isn't just a rock in the sky? What if it's a lens that reflects everything inside you? Your emotions, your thoughts, your energy. Not creating it, just exposing it. And when that light hits, you feel it. Restlessness, tension, intensity. That's not the moon controlling you. That's you being revealed. Because when your energy is eclipsed, you don't disappear. You fragment. Scattered thoughts, unfocused energy, emotion can't explain. That's the eclipse. Not outside, inside. But then the full moon rises, and everything hidden comes to the surface, amplified, louder, heavier, harder to ignore. And most people react. They lash out, they lose control, they get pulled by the wave. But emotional intelligence, there's something different. It observes, it doesn't run, it doesn't react, it sees. Because the moment you see it, you can control it. So you center yourself, you breathe, you slow down, you come back to you. Because your energy was never out there. It was always here, inside you. So you stop outsourcing it. No validation, no permission, just source. And when you tap into that, everything changes. Now the energy moves, you create, you build, you express, you flow. Because energy that flows transforms, but energy that's blocked explodes. So you stay aware of your cycles, your emotions, your patterns. You adjust the lens over and over and over again until one day you realize something that the moon never controls you. It never held your power, it only showed you what was already there. So don't fear the light, don't fear the intensity. That's not weakness, that's exposure, that's true, that's your energy. Trying to break free. So observe it, center it, draw from yourself, and let it flow. Because your power was never missing. It was only eclipsed. strong, the path is clear. The shadows crawl, the weak may fall, deception spreads to choke us all. I won't be fooled, I won't comply. I raise my voice, I will not die. Rise from the ashes, break every chain. Truth is our weapon, fury flame. The world may tremble, the night may scream, but we are stronger than what we've seen. I've been in the maze, I face the night, now stand with me to claim the fight. No more lies, no more deceit. We rise as one, and our hearts won't retreat. all I know keeps you up night. Make all the peace quiet. We were built to thrive.
Well, hello, cousin. Sorry about that. Just trying to get the YouTube, or excuse me, the TikTok live teed up. They took away my restreaming rights. So, sorry, TikTok. You'll have to look at the fan. But we are here. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, saluting you for being here, seeking after truth. And we got a good one for you tonight. Her Majesty's in the house, so we are ready to rumble. Smoking, I guess I should say standing. They tell me it's the new smoking. Nice to see people on TikTok coming in. TikTok, if you can see I'm wearing shorts, don't tell anybody. But tonight we're going to talk about Jesus, his disciples, and the number 13. We're also going to get into the Temple of Set, and we're going to cover some internet drama. I don't like internet drama, but I've ignored this one too long, and I have to go ahead and address it just a little bit. We got a great deep program for you tonight. We got a little bit of changes coming up in our scheduling. I'm trying to find the best audiences and do things that are the most profitable for the channel. But let's go ahead and get started with the deep program. I'm going to go ahead and go full screen on some stuff here because we got some great stuff. Anthony sent me a great $10.33 tip. I really appreciate it. Anthony, I've known Anthony for many, many years. Met him out there at the Rex Bear conference that was several years ago. And Anthony says, hey, Jeff, I talked to Natalie. That's Natalie Fronapple. Some of you remember her. We had her on the deep program a while back. She seems happy. And I hope that she gets back into esoteric work because she's got a real knack for it. But Anthony says that he really does appreciate my work. And somehow we have to bring Christianity to an end. We have to win this war of minds. We can't have real peace while fear-based Christianity still holds so much power over people. And then I responded to him, I'm glad that Natalie's happy. Hope she gets back to esoteric work. And we're doing exactly what we have to do with this Abrahamics matrix. And I appreciate Anthony's help and everybody else's help now more than ever. I need it more than ever. I'm being attacked more than ever. Kylie's worried about my varicose veins. And we really appreciate all of you. We really appreciate all that you do.
Heads up, AI companies have started buying and destroying rare and antique books at incredible scale. AI companies right now are buying up antique and rare books, ingesting their contents to train their models, and then destroying them at incredible scale, according to new reporting from Futurism. Here's what's happening according to 404 Media. AI companies are bulk buying rare books. Then they scan them through high-speed machines that cut the spines of the books off and then shred the original book. A federal judge has even ruled that this practice is considered fair use, because if you eliminate the original, it means that only one copy of the book remains at a time. Nobody in the pipeline is actively checking whether these books are the last book ever to be on Earth. And so not only are classic books being destroyed, but historical records are. Local history, self-published memoirs of wars, and more. And it's all happening during this massive AI boom as we speak. So be aware, spread the word, and follow along, stay up to date on all the news you need to know about.
And that's actually a very good point. You know, there's a lot of scary things about AI, And this goes to our point that we are winning and they are running scared. You can see the Jesus there in that little meme is very, very scared. You can see that the priests and the pastor, which of course represent the main branches of Christianity, they're very scared. And there I am, as cool as the other side of the pillow. And I really am. I'm not worried about these guys. I'm not afraid about these guys. I am more determined than I've ever been. Because even though, let me show you this full speed here, full size, we're winning. They're scared. But you see, truth doesn't need any threats. Truth doesn't need any threats whatsoever. They say turn or burn. We say they're wrong. We put out the information. And I'm the happy warrior. They are throwing everything at us dagger, including the kitchen sink. And we're not gonna give in. We are just getting started. We are just getting started, folks. We really are. I'm going to try to stretch my technical expertise. I don't know how successful I'll be at it, but I'm going to try my best to do it. And I'm going to go over here to my TikTok, and I want to share something with you because it's actually pretty cool. ChatGPT made this visual for me, and then TikTok put on the music, and I was really impressed with what they did. And I just want to show this to you because it really puts in perspective what we're dealing with. You can see we've got 620 followers over on TikTok. I'm really enjoying that over there, but I hope you can hear this. Let me know if you can, because TikTok, I'm going to play a TikTok that you won't get to see, but just listen to this. It's kind of cool. That's not what it was supposed to be. Give me a second. Let's see if I can play the right one. There it is. You ready?
A man who refuses to quit is dangerous. You can beat him down, take everything from him, and still he'll find a way to rise. His strength doesn't come from comfort. It comes from pain, from loss, from the nights he had nothing but his own will to keep him going. You can doubt him, you can count him out, but you can't break him, because a man who's decided to keep fighting has already won.
And that's the message tonight. A man that has decided to keep fighting has already won. And I have already won, cousins. We have already won, cousins. We are winning. And it doesn't matter what they try to throw at us, we will win. So I might as well go into this right now. It's a little embarrassing, and I've ignored it for about a year, maybe a little bit more. But, you know, these people that constantly accuse me, these people that constantly try to cast aspersions on me, it's kind of interesting because, you know, we open the phone lines in every single deprogram, and not one of them can pick up a phone. Not one of them can actually call in and say anything to me and actually talk to me. They just can't do that. It's beyond them. But they can go on their little bitty backwater platforms and they can create enough of a stink. Cynthia tells me this is called clout farming. They use somebody that has an audience and they put you in their thumbnails and they put you in their little bitty programs that nobody watches. And to be frank with you, our platform here, we get more views in one show than these places get in a whole month. But they have created a stir that I should have addressed earlier, but now it's coming to be a problem, so I have to address it. And these people that won't talk to me, these people that will not even call in, these people that won't even read the Bible one time, what they will do is they will go back and research my past, 30 years of my past. They went back and researched 30 years. And what they found was 30 years ago, when I was in Portland, Oregon, when I was actually still a Christian, when I was actually still a preacher, what they found was this thing that I paid to get expunged that didn't get expunged. And I did something stupid. And I got charged with a charge of prostitution. Now, in the fantasy world of these people that are cowards, that are tadpoles in a mud puddle, and not even that, they conflated that to say that Jeffrey Daugherty 30 years ago was a homosexual male prostitute. That's right. They said Jeffrey Daugherty was a homosexual male prostitute. And even people that call me their friends got mixed up in this and got carried on with this. And guys that had me on their show and said I was the greatest thing since sliced bread are now trying to gain clout using my name, saying Jeffrey Daugherty was a male homosexual prostitute. Well, the fact of the matter was, if you followed me for longer than, let's say 5 minutes, you know I can be a little bit of a smartass. And obviously these people that haven't read the Bible one time, they can research back 30 years and spend money. They actually pulled a background check on me, very detailed, because you don't get these things for free. So they pulled a background check on me and found out that 30 years ago, I had a charge of prostitution in the state of Oregon, in Portland, and I really did. Here's what happened. My best friend and I were out driving, getting a pizza. We're going to take it home to my kids who were waiting back at my place. And we pull up to this stop sign. Gary's grabbing the pizza. And this girl walks up to my car and she says, "Hey, you want to have sex?" And me being me, I said, "Sure, $5. And next thing I know, I'm wearing metal bracelets sitting in the back of a paddy wagon. It was a prostitution sting. And my stupid joke got me charged with a prostitution charge. And I didn't even pick up a prostitute. I've never slept with a prostitute. That's just something I don't do. And I'm pretty sure that these guys that are casting aspersions on me, you know, we've got the morbidly obese that are amongst them. We've got people that are crack smokers smoking their own teeth that are amongst them. We've got people that are so desperate for any recognition that are among them. So at any rate, I go into my girlfriend at the time, she worked for the Multnomah County, which is where Portland is. She says, "Oh, I see what happened to you." I told her the story. She said, "That didn't surprise me." My own mother said, "Oh, so you're not as funny as you think all the time, right?" And like, "No, mom, I'm not." But anyway, I went and talked to Cynthia says I pissed the cop off because I said $5. So I think she probably took offense to that. But the DA told me, "Look, just go in and talk to the judge, tell him what happened." And I did. I went in, I talked to the judge, I told him what happened. And they gave me, I think it was like a 60-day suspended bench warrant. Don't go into this zone and you'll be fine. Then I paid like $350 to get it expunged, but obviously I should have paid 700. But anyway, that's the whole thing. So no, Jeffrey Daugherty was never a homosexual prostitute. No, Jeffrey Daugherty wasn't even a prostitute himself, although that's not outside the realm of possibilities, baby. I could have been a gigolo. I could have been a gigolo 30 years ago. I mean, at that time, I was powerlifting, holding a record for my age, so I could have been a gigolo. But no, I wasn't a gigolo. I didn't even pick up a hooker. So that's the whole thing that has been conflated by these cowards into Jeffrey Daugherty was a homosexual male prostitute. So I hope they enjoyed their clicks. I hope they enjoyed their 15 seconds of fame as tadpoles in a dirty mud puddle, which is what those things are. So that's the story. It's made enough rounds. I should have quashed it long ago, but I didn't. So now you know I was not a homosexual male prostitute. So that's the end of that story. And we'll just leave that there. And pimping ain't easy, as Spaz says. It's hard out there for a pimp. You're working real hard to try to pay the rent. New girl's a hassle, and the car needs fixed. I mean, it's hard out there pimping. It's hard out there pimping. So there's that. There's some internet drama for you. And that's kind of the world I live in. It's a silly, stupid, weird world. But you know, that's what it is. So there's your internet drama for the night. And if you don't mind, we'll get back into the D program. How's that sound? Let's get back into the D program with some fun, some nice stuff. Oops, I didn't share it.
Got away. I met you in the dark, you lit me up, you made me feel.
So that one might have made Rooney a little bit jealous. Sorry you couldn't see it on TikTok. I'll get through these clips into the D program here pretty quick. But we love animals. We like to bring some of that stuff up. Don't freak out. I know it was AI. It's just for fun. But, you know, we like to start off with a little bit of fun because we have some serious business that we always talk about. Animals are amazing. So here's some more fun from Christians. Christians are so much fun to make fun of. And I got this as a message on the website. And it was in reference to our Mandela effect, showing that the Bible has been changed. And this Christian lady, who I wanted to, give her proper credit, She says, obviously, God is allowing it. And the Bible is the only way that you can be saved. I'm pretty sure that Jesus is how we're saved. He saved me, and I never read the Bible in my life or even go to church. There's a common theme there. These Christians have never read the Bible, not even through one time. But they're basing their eternal destiny on it. What about the Christians that have no access to the Bible? That's a good question. Are you saying they're not saved? No, the Bible says they're not saved. Maybe God is allowing the Bible to be changed. I can't tell you how many people I've heard say that reading the Bible is how you have a relationship with Jesus. How is that a relationship? It's actually better if you don't read the Bible, because as soon as you start reading the Bible, then it's very hard for you to continue being a Christian. And I had to say to her, seriously, God's allowing his word to be changed? The Bible itself, which you haven't read, says that it can't be changed. Answer this honestly to yourself. Have you even read it through cover to cover even once? Yeah, I thought so. Call into the D program and talk to me if you want. I really have an empathy for these people. They're crazy. I'm trying to bring them out of their delusion. And here's another one. We showed that Jesus was using a magic wand, which the Bible says is a sin. The very first artistic rendering of Jesus shows him healing with a magic wand. And of course, I said, what does God need with a magic wand? You know, that's the Captain Kirk. What does God need with a starship? What does God need with a magic wand? And obviously, this person has a strong cognitive dissonance, strong confirmation bias, because it doesn't matter what they find Jesus doing, including being naked in the Garden of Gethsemane with a boy, they'll find a way to explain it. That's called delusional. And here's another one. Jeffrey, this comes from the 1776 PAC. I don't know how I got their email, but it says, President Trump's path to faith wasn't what you expected. He didn't find the Lord in a church. He stared down the devil himself and lived. This is the truth, Jeffrey. Read every word. Wow, this is a strong delusion, but I'm going to keep trying to pull people out of this fire because it's what I do. And this was sent to me by Charles, I think. Watch this guy here. This is pretty interesting. Watch him.
Dowsing rods. Copper rods sitting in a copper swivel that you hold in the palm of your hand. Some people use them to find spirits. A lot of people use them to find water. You can use them to find minerals like gold. So you take a piece of gold nugget, you hold it in one hand up against the rod, and you clear your mind, and all you think about is gold. So I'll stick them in the ground for a couple seconds, and I'll hold them up, and I'll get them centered like that. And I'm holding completely still, and they're moving on their own. So what you do, try to move as gently as we can. It's pointing that way.
So anyway, long story short, dude finds gold. I've used these to find Rooney. I've used these to find my my car keys, my wallet. And one of the interesting takeaways from this deprogram and from this video is that guy's using my rods. That's right, my rods that I made. Very unique construction. I do them all on my own. So this guy's using my rods. So if you want to get yourself a pair of rods, you can go to realgospeltruth.org and just hit the contact button, say, Jeff, I want some rods. Or you can send me an email and I'll get the rods out to you. They're $50. That includes the shipping, but only in the United States of America. So he's using my rods. I thought it was kind of cool to just share that one with you.
Everybody should watch this video. As harsh as it might sound, it is 100% facts. Watch this and let me know if you agree with Muhammad Ali.
When you say integration, it comes under intermarriage too, right? All being together.
Right, sure.
And I'm sure no intelligent white person watching this show, or no intelligent white man in his or her right white mind, want black boys and black girls marrying their white sons and daughters, and in return introducing their grandchildren as half-brown, kinky-haired black people.
I wouldn't object to that.
Well, you wouldn't, but a lot of them would.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people would. No, is this the point?
What I'm trying to say is this. You don't have it. You say you don't, but you don't have it. You really ain't gonna have it. You're on the show, and you got to say that. But
that's not true.
Why would you want to do that?
Because I don't think I'm any different from you see.
Yeah, we much different.
I mean, I think society's made us different.
You know we're different. We all together.
But society's made us different.
No, not society. God made us different.
No, we're just human beings. He made all of us.
We all, listen, bluebirds fly with bluebirds, red birds want to be with red birds. Listen, tell me when I'm wrong. Pigeons want to be with pigeons.
But
tell me when I'm wrong. We should have more. They don't have intelligence, but yet they stay together. We should have more intelligence than them, right? Buzzards are with buzzards, bluebirds are with bluebirds. They all are birds, but they got different cultures. The eagles like to hang out in the mountains. The buzzard like to fly around the desert.
Well,
the bluebird like to fly around the trees and the grass.
There'd be certain problems a buzzard mating with a sparrow, wouldn't there?
What?
There'd be certain.
Right. And we have the problems too.
No,
I don't see no black and white couples in England or America walking around proud, holding their children.
That's because society
and going out.
That's society's fault. I mean, we've got to educate people around it.
Well, life is too short for me to be raised catching hell for something like that. I'd rather go and be my own. I have a beautiful daughter, beautiful wife. They look like me. We're all happy, and I don't have no trouble. I ain't no trouble. I ain't that much in love with no woman to go through all that hell. Ain't no one woman that good.
I think it's sad that
it ain't sad because I want my child to look like me. Every intelligent person wants his child to look like him. I'm sad because I want to blot out my race and lose my beautiful identity. Chinese love Chinese. They love the little slanted-eyed, pretty brown-skinned babies. Pakistanis love their culture. Jewish people love their culture. A lot of Catholics don't want to marry number Catholics. They want the religion to stay the same. Who want to spot up yourself and kill your race? You're a hater of your people if you don't want to stay who you are. You shame what God made you. God didn't make no mistake when He made us all like we were.
I think that's a philosophy of despair.
Despair. It ain't no despair. No woman on this whole earth, not even a black woman in Muslim countries, can please me and cook for me and socialize and talk to me like my American black woman. No woman, at last is a white woman, can really identify with me and my feelings and the way I act and the way I talk.
Wow. That's Muhammad Ali dropping some truth. And you know, I say that we are not alone. We got black, brown, red, yellow people that hate this Judeo-Christian domination just as much as we do. And I'm with Muhammad Ali. I love my people. I want to hang out with people that are like me. I want to socialize with people that are like me. Now, I like to go to a barbecue every now and then, or a flea market where I can interact with some other cultures. So I think that's valuable too. But Muhammad Ali is right. The way to optimization of white race, black race, yellow race, brown race, red race is to stay within our own people, strengthen our own blood, strengthen our own cultures, get optimized, be all we can be, and then we can see past this Judeo-Christian fear and guilt, blood magic, mind control matrix that's trying to get us to fight against all the other people. Because as soon as we understand that we're all slaves in different slave houses on a big plantation run by the people up there in the big house, then we all get optimized. We all get together. We march up that hill. Our enemies are cowards, as been demonstrated here today. They'll run. And then we take back our lands. We sit down around a table and we divvy up who goes where. We all live amongst our own peoples. We have cultural interaction and all the problems go away. Muhammad Ali was right. Muhammad Ali was right.
If you were born between the years 1963 and 1993, pay attention and save this video. I was born in 1975, and I was part of the GATE program in school. GATE stands for Gifted and Talented Education Program. And rumor has it, people that were in that program are all drawn to each other. But here's where this gets interesting. If it's convenient for you right now, look at your left forearm and see if you have a freckle or a mole on it. It could be on your right forearm, but it could be on both. But I want to hear from you in the comments. Do you remember this from school? And also share this with any friends you know that were in the program. I remember when they came in to pull me from class, gave me some crayons and a picture to color, and all I remember is just bawling my head off. But here in Washington State, they called it Project Success. Later on, they renamed it to Aiming High. In all of this, if you are in any speech therapy class, this applies to you too. Watching any of my videos, you notice that I have
Whoops. Some of you along with me will remember this. I was in that GATE program and I checked my forearm and I've got the mole. So this is something that they were doing back then. And it's really freaking interesting. You ought to look into it. It's really interesting. Now, I used to have this slide here that said the Trump conundrum. It's not a conundrum anymore. It's just a Trump con. And now we find out from Edward Snowden that Trump has just classified all AI data centers as military installations. This comes from a guy named Edward Snowden on X, I think. I don't know if it's the Edward Snowden. But Executive Order 14318, signed on June 2nd of this year, buried on page 14 of the Federal Register. No cable network covered it for more than 90 seconds. Every major AI data center in the United States is now classified as a military operation. Local governments can no longer block them. State regulations no longer apply. Environmental zoning reviews are bypassed. Zoning laws are overridden. That is some stuff that, wow, we need to be aware of.
Buckle up, because Donald Trump, the deportation guy, is only in America because his grandfather was a draft-dodging illegal immigrant who ran a brothel. Meet Friedrich Trump, 1885. Age 16, skips out of Germany without telling anyone. Doesn't do his mandatory military service. In today's language, draft dodger who left illegally. He gets to America, hangs out for a bit, then heads north for the gold rush. And what business does he open? A hotel brothel in the Yukon. Advertised with, and I quote, private boxes for the ladies, because subtlety wasn't invented yet. He runs it for years, makes a fortune off gold miners and prostitution, and then right before Canadian authorities crack down on gambling and brothels, he cashes out and skips town. Left with the equivalent of $500,000 in today's money, that was the seed. Every Trump Tower, every gold-plated toilet, every self-made billionaire claim grew out of a Yukon brothel. He goes back to Germany with his wife. Germany looks at his file, sees the draft dodging, and deports him. He writes a groveling letter to the prince. Why should we be deported? This is very, very hard for a family. Denied. Kicked out, sent back to America with his wife 3 months pregnant with Fred Trump Sr. The entire Trump dynasty exists because a Bavarian prince declined mercy on a deported family, and now the grandson deports fathers in front of their toddlers.
Erica Jordan, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's her name. That's some very interesting stuff, but you're going to stay maggot up, aren't you? You're going to stay maggot up. What is wrong with you people? It's not a Trump conundrum anymore. It's just a Trump con.
Here's a creepy fact. You can dream while being awake. There's a condition called hypnagogic hallucinations, and its vivid dreams bleed into reality. You see and hear things that aren't there, and it feels completely real. It's often paired with sleep paralysis, which is why so many shadow figure stories exist.
Interesting stuff, folks. Interesting stuff to consider. Here's another interesting one.
Think you'll ever be queen?
No, I don't. No.
Why do you think that?
I don't think many people would want me to be queen. Actually, when I say many people, I mean the establishment that I'm married into, because they've decided that I'm a non-starter.
Why do you think they've decided that?
Because I do things differently. Because I don't go by a rule book. Because I lead from the heart, not the head. And albeit that's got me into trouble in my work, I understand that.
Princess Diana dropping some truth on us, folks. Oh, this one's muted. It just says that Meta, which I guess is Facebook, has now told you, they've been doing it, but now they're telling you that they're going to go ahead and access all of your DMs and use that for the data scraping. And I've told you that your churches, when you walk into a church, if you go to a church more than 100 people, they're using facial recognition when you walk in the door. They're data scraping all of your social media. They're using Palantir level AI surveillance right in your churches, and you're still okay with that. I don't understand. I'm trying to get you free, but you just want to stay bound. I don't get it. I don't get it, but you have the right to remain a slave if you want to. And if you really want to do something interesting, go into your Strong's Concordance. That's that book that's on your shelf that you pretend that you use but never even have opened it. It has a list of every single word in the Bible. And if you go into the New Testament and you look up every word where it says servant of Christ, that word is doulos. That word is slave. I thought you might want to know that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought you might want to know that. This is a little long, but it's freaky. Watch this.
Well, that's okay. That's okay.
You sick, Ed?
No, it's got a very funny feeling.
It's real.
What kind of feeling?
It's like I didn't belong here. Like if I was to let myself go.
You'd what?
Like I'd disappear.
Wow.
I'm gonna go call my folks. I just called home. Called my folks. My mom answered the phone.
Yeah.
And she said she didn't have any son named Ed Harrington.
Well, I don't know. It's just a gag, maybe.
She shouldn't be here. None of us should be here. It's as if...
As if what?
We shouldn't have come back from that flight at all.
Good. You stay put. I'm gonna get you a good stiff drink, all right? Take it easy. Where's my buddy's drink?
Who?
The beer he had in place of the one he dropped on the...
I don't know what you mean, Colonel. You came in here alone.
What are you, a wise guy or something? What? You're crazy! You're crazy! Ed Harrington, sir. You remember Ed? We're in your wing at the field, sir. We were with you 19, 20 months, sir. Ed Harrington! Ed Harrington! Why doesn't anybody remember me?
I don't know any Ed. Who's Ed?
Ed Harrington.
Leg, what's the matter with you? What's happened to you?
I swear to God, I don't know. Bill, something's happened. Something I just don't understand. Go on. At 9:30 yesterday morning, I walked out of here.
Yeah, about that time, I guess.
Who did I walk up with?
Well, nobody was with you.
What's that say?
Well, in effect, it says those two intrepid voyagers into the unknown returned from the unknown in a slightly dented aircraft.
What about the picture?
Colonel Clegg Forbes and Major William Gart, taken just before their historic flight that ended in mysterious disappearance and crash.
There were 3 of us in that aircraft. You and me and a colonel named Harrington. Harrington and I were just scratched. You were the one with the busted leg. There were 3 beds in this room.
I don't know anybody named Harrington. He wasn't on the crew with us. The X-20 carried 2 men. There's never been 3 beds in this room, only 2. Yours and mine. I think he must be an illusion or something.
This is weird. Like I just don't belong.
Oh, no! I don't want this to happen! Phil, I don't want it to happen! I don't want it to happen! I don't want it to happen!
Major, you shouldn't be out of bed. Why, if the doctor could...
Somebody's got to help him. Colonel Forbes, somebody's got to help him right away.
Who?
Colonel Forbes! You know Colonel Forbes. Why, he was brought in here with me. Why, he was right over here in this...
Are you all right? Major! Major Henderson!
Things are getting weird, cousins. Some of us feel it. Some of us realize it. Some of us don't. Be ready for anything. Be ready for everything. And if there's ever been a time to get your mind clear of the virus that is the Judeo-Christian fear and guilt, blood magic mind control matrix, it's now. And that's the gist of my work going forward, unabated. So let's get in more to the deprogram. The United States and Japan concluded joint exercises Rescue J X-Ray Romeo 2026, a major command drill post simulating a catastrophic megaquake on the Nankai Trough. The military paper Stars and Stripes reports that coincidentally, just coincidentally, 2 days later, a real world magnitude 7.1 earthquake struck the Kumamoto Prefecture on Japan's southern island of Kyushu, prompting widespread evacuations. And after the U.S. Geological Survey recorded a nearly 4-point shake off the coast of the Ponce Inlet, calling it an experimental explosion, the United States says we got another shock trial that's set to take place by the end of July. So I guess it's already taken place. Folks, there's some crazy stuff happening. There's some crazy stuff happening. And TikTok, I'm sorry you can't see the deprogram, but call it a podcast on TikTok. Call it a podcast. And Colleen sent me this. What if I told you that Jesus was not the Word, that the Jesus character was not there in the beginning in Genesis? We covered this the other day, I think, in a Barclay's Chill. You're familiar with John 1:1 says, in the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God. Well, if you look that up, word means logos, which is a word they stole from heathens. It meant the word of our heathen honor. They stole it and applied it to the Jesus character, which is bad enough, but it gets even worse because as you go on, you will read that the Word was God. The Word is not the Bible God. In the New Testament, that's kurios, but here it's God or God. You see, it's gods. It's anybody that's divine, anybody that's God-fearing. It's just a deity, and it's a Hebraism. And a lot of our Christian identity and Christian nationalist friends are doing everything they can to distance themselves from the Hebrews, but Jesus, according to this, was one of the people that they're trying to get away from. And it was God, which is Elohim, which means God, goddess, male and female, multiple, more than one. It was God that said, let there be light. It was the Lord God, Yahweh, that formed man from the dust of the ground after man was already created in Genesis 1. What was he creating, folks? What was he creating? So at best, if Jesus, who wasn't real, he's a character, if John 1:1 puts him back in Genesis, then he was just a divine being, a godling, as I would term him. What in the world is going on here, folks? I'm trying to show you that there's a reason why instinctively you won't read the Bible, because you know if you do, you won't be able to remain a Christian. I think you have that much integrity. We have this coming up. It's the RH negative riddle. It was probably the first deprogram I ever did. It was on Blog Talk Radio. That's how long ago it was. That's me. That's how long ago it was. That's me now. That's me then. We're going to revisit this mainly because I don't know why. It doesn't interest me that much, but it has over 100,000 more views than any deprogram I've ever done in my 13 years doing this work. We had over 20 million views, and that's being banned for 5 years. And this one about RH negative has way more views than anything else. I interviewed an MD. We're going to revisit that in the days to come. And why would a God be jealous of other gods, says Zach Brown. We've also got this coming up. I finished this book. It's 516 pages. It's The Assault on Camelot. It covers the Kennedy assassination. It covers this guy that we can't talk about much here. And this mountain, the Untersberg, is at the center of it. And I've revamped my website a little bit. It's Real Gospel Truth. Real Gospel Truth. I think it's .com. It might be .org. Let me just check it real quickly because I'm trying to make it easier for you guys. It's .org. Trying to make it easier for you guys to get your hands on some of my products if you want them. And I want to show you the Real Gospel Truth right here. Here's the Real Gospel Truth .org website. It's basically just a place where you can go and find information. It does tell you that before Christianity, the word gospel meant good news of heathen victory. They've stolen it. If you want to donate to me, you can donate right here. That'll go through my PayPal. If you want to donate through Cash App, here's my Unindoctrinate. If you lose the YouTube channel, if you want to get our Focus Life Force Energy, which brings you a high consciousness environment to your home and to your phone, they give you a free 30-day trial. You don't even have to list a credit card. The Nanosoma, that is going to get everything out of you that's not supposed to be in you. And you can get that right there. And if you want to order the books, you just click on this link or click on the book. is going to take you to thebookpatch.com, which is my publisher, and you can order straight from there. If you do want to get your hands on some rods, just use this contact, put in your name, say, hey, Jeff, I want some rods, put in your correct mailing address, submit that, it'll come to me, and I'll give you the PayPal, the pay for the rods, and you can get your rods and you'll be all set. Her Majesty also reminds us that a lot of times earthquakes and volcano eruptions are associated with solar activity. And I didn't know a solar flare from a lens flare until I met Cynthia, but she's getting me dialed in and up to speed on a lot of really interesting information. And it's truly interesting information. Is this Zach guy real? I don't know who the Zach guy is. Not sure who the Zach guy is. But the book is not available yet, but it will be very soon. And that's Assault on Camelot. I'm also preparing a new book. This will be my next book. My first book was Apostle Paul Antichrist. You see, George Norrie endorsed it. Darty delivers innovation, talent, and bravery thanks to that. And we're bringing out a sequel, Apostle Paul Antichrist, New Blood. This is basically a novel, and we're going to rework this into being a book that is more applicable to people studying and trying to figure this out. And of course, I was still a Christian and a preacher when I wrote Apostle Paul Antichrist, and I'm not anymore. So that's Apostle Paul Antichrist, New Blood. We got a lot of things going on. I'm often imitated. I'm never duplicated. They want to shut me down, but they can't even slow me down. I am more dedicated than ever to doing what I do. And this isn't creepy at all. There's a new robot, and it's supposed to be a fire rescue robot. And they just happen to put a goat head and some goat horns on it. Are you kidding me? It's built to work in wildfires, mudslides, and other deadly zones. It's a California startup that's built this four-legged robot. And I don't know if you find that creepy. Let me go full screen with it. I find it pretty damn creepy. So if you're hiding in a fire and you see this guy come along, he's got a chainsaw and he'll use it. So I might pretend that I was dead. I'm just saying, you might want to consider that. You might want to consider that. He combines a humanoid upper body with a four-legged animal base. Why in the world would they do that? It's almost like they're trying to get us used to chimeras. And he's going to do the dangerous jobs, fight wildfire, clear brush with his chainsaw. I'm sure there's no Texas Chainsaw Massacre tie-ins there whatsoever. So, yeah, I thought you might want to know about that. And here he is. Here he is. There's his chainsaw. But he's just there to help. He's from the government, and he's there to help. Not creepy at all. And, of course, he had to be painted black. So, Colleen sent me this, too. And as we cruise into the D program, we're going to talk about the Temple of Set a little bit. We're going to talk about the Temple of Set. And when Colleen sent me this, I first looked at it, I thought she's crazy. But the more I looked at it, I thought, maybe she's not crazy. You got J.D. Vance. You got Erica Kirk. If you pair J.D. Vance's face with Michael Aquino of MK Ultra Tavistock fame, you got Michael Aquino, and you pair him with J.D. Vance, the similarities rather striking. You compare him with Erica Kirk, the similarities rather striking. We know there's some strangeness between Erica Kirk and J.D. Vance. Maybe it's not the strangeness we thought. Maybe it's a different kind of strangeness. Are they actually brother and sister? Were they both sired by Michael Aquino, who started the Church of the Temple of Set? I'm just asking questions. Michael Aquino was a U.S. Army intelligence officer. Cynthia says it's terrifying. This guy was a U.S. Army intelligence officer. And he also was in charge of the Army's Child Development Center. You might want to connect those dots. He also was in the DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency, which of course is a spy organization. And he also happened to start the Temple of Set. That's Michael Aquino with the great eyebrows. He was born in 1946. He was a political scientist. He was a military officer. He was an intelligence officer. He was a Satanist. He was the founder and the high priest of the Temple of Set. And his specialty in the Air Force, or excuse me, the Army, I was thinking about Priscilla Presley's dad, stepfather. That's in Assault on Aquarius, which is available now at bookpatch.com. And he was a psychological warfare officer for military intelligence in the United States Army. I'm sure it's just a coincidence. But when he got his doctorate, he went back to San Francisco and was in control of the Presidio. He also was in the Defense Intelligence Agency. He was an intel officer. He was a program analyst. He was in charge of the Army's child care facility. Wow, and wow. Those things that he was in charge of the spy organization was intelligence gathering, enhanced interrogation techniques, which we just call torture, and moving and driving the ability to use this technology within the borders of the United States of America. Wow. The things you find out here on this deprogram. No wonder they're trying so hard to take us down, but all they're doing is motivating me. I didn't know that, crazy, but Kathy O'Brien did write about him. She was connected with him. He inflicted many of the things that she says were visited upon her. And somehow I'm not surprised, but Michael Aquino in 1987 faced charges from 58 out of 100 children who had attended the daycare center where he was in charge of, and 58 of 100 of them showed physical and mental signs of SA, which led to a lawsuit by the parents who were rewarded with $60 million in damages. He was personally charged, but they closed it because there was insufficient evidence. 58% of the children under his care, and those are the ones that came forward, had verifiable physical and mental signs of abuse. But the government decided there wasn't enough evidence to convict him. And the Temple of Set, believe it or not, was a church split. We know how Christians love their church splits. It's amazing. I only pastored a couple churches, maybe 4 years total. I would go in, build up a small church, get it up to 100 people, go build up another small church. I never got involved in a church split. But the Temple of Set was a church split because he split from the Church of Satan of Anton LaVey. So the Temple of Set was a church split. It's just an Abrahamic thing, guys. It's just an Abrahamic thing. And Her Majesty says that Kathy O'Brien talked about how they would split the kids' psyches during MK Ultra, and Aquino was at the very base of this. And the interesting thing is, I showed you an Assault on Aquarius, which again, shameless plug, is available at bookpatch.com. They did the same thing to Elvis Presley. They did the same thing to Paul McCartney. They did the same thing to other members of the Beatles. And now they're doing it to all of us. Now they're doing it to all of us. If you follow Chris Jericho on any of his social media, or on his Talk is Jericho podcast, I have reached out to him. Some of you will remember I was there a long time ago, 3 years on his podcast talking about Elvis. So I let Chris know I've got the new book, see if he'd like to have me out. And if you follow Coast to Coast AM, I'll be calling them on Monday. So drop them a little note somewhere on social media. Say, hey, we'd really like to see Jeffrey Daugherty back again. It's been about 3 years since I've been on Coast to Coast. So it is time. I think I've been on 16, 17, 18 times. So it's time to get back on. So help a brother out and put in a plug for me. So that's the Temple of Set. He says that Satan revealed his true name to be that of Set, which was the name used by his followers in ancient Egypt. That's just a lie. Set is not Satan. But interestingly, the fifth degree of the Temple of Set is called Maga. Maga. I'm sure there's no connection. But isn't it interesting that the fifth degree of the Temple of Set, the church split from the temple from the Church of Satan, is called Maga? Just kind of is interesting to me. And they have a council of 9, which is large in esoteric lore. The Magas are those whose task is complete. And you could say that Trump being elected twice, that task is complete. And anybody that becomes a Maga can designate themselves to have attained the 6th degree, which is, I can't pronounce it, but head honcho in charge, I think is what that translates to. So very interesting. And there's some very interesting facial similarities between Erica Kirk, between J.D. Vance, and between the infamous Michael Aquino. And just when it couldn't get any stranger, Aquino said that the 1968 film 2001 Space Odyssey, that he consulted on it. He brought it out into the public, and it was the black monolith in 2001 Space Odyssey that gave the prehistoric apes their intelligence. And he says it was a symbol of Set. Very, very interesting, from the words of Michael Aquino himself. And just when you think it couldn't get any weirder, the lead character in 2001, The Space Odyssey, was named David Bowman. And he was the star child. David Bowman was the star child. Well, Jeff, why does that matter? Well, did you know that J.D. Vance has changed his name not once, not twice, but thrice? His first name was James Donald Bowman, just like the star child in 2001 A Space Odyssey. He then changed his name to James David Hamill, and then changed his name to his current James David Vance, or J.D. Vance. As Jay Mars says, that's nothing if not weird. So is Dave Bowman in 2001 Space Odyssey a planted kosher disclosure about James David Bowman Hamill Vance, the star child? And could Erica Kirk be the high priestess? They look a lot alike. Aquino mentioned 2001. James David Bowman does connect to James David Bowman Hamill Vance's weird name changes. Wow, this is crazy stuff. This is crazy stuff. I had to reapply on TikTok to go live through Restream, so that's why I'm doing it this way, TikTok. But that's weird, if nothing else. That is weird, if nothing else. Are they brother and sister? Were they sired by Mr. Aquino? We know that Erica was involved in military child care places. Didn't check on J.D. Vance. But that's nothing if not interesting. That's nothing if not interesting. And again, here's the Kathy O'Brien allegations. She said that Aquino was the one doing it. He was sued. Even though 60%, 58% of the kids showed signs, they said nothing to see here, nothing to see here. And interestingly, In 1977, the hearings were opened on MK Ultra by the U.S. government. But in 1988, they censored Kathy O'Brien's testimony via the National Securities Act. Why was it censored? And if Kathy O'Brien's testimony is all made up, if Kathy O'Brien's testimony, none of it's true, then why would they censor her information? Who are they protecting? Why would you protect Michael Aquino? But if they were protecting a connection to J.D. Vance and Erica Kirk, well, that might be something that's worth considering. The phone lines are open. Not that any of you will use them, but if you do want to call in, I just ask you to be polite. I ask you to be interesting, and I ask you to be platform friendly. TikTok, the phone number is 913-228-2586. It's 913-228-2586. I will ask you to put your question in the chat. Put it in all capital letters. Is that going to kick me off there? Yeah, put it in all capital letters. I'll open up the phone line so you can call in. This will keep the trolls that just want to say stupid stuff from slipping through, maybe. But if you have a question, put it in the chat in all caps, and I'll open the phones and you can call in. If you have a Rod's question, just like the guy in that video, I got the Rods here. Put a Rod's question in all capitals. It has to be able to be answered by a yes or no. The Rods don't answer except in the yes or no. So if you have a Rod's question, all caps. If you want to be on the D program, if you want to call in, all caps. I'll put the phone number back up. You can call in. We're not hiding from anyone. We welcome all callers. TikTok, you can do it as well. You can even put your message in all caps on TikTok because I got my big tablet so I can see it. And I keep looking over, so don't worry. So let's jump into this Jesus, his disciples in 13. We've covered the Temple of Set. We covered the internet drama. I'm the Christian Whistleblower, and we're ready to rock and roll. Cynthia loves this meme guy. I think he's pretty cool. He looks a lot like me. He's got those baby blue eyes. I could have been a male prostitute. I could have been a gigolo. What was her name? Blondie could have been singing about me. Call me, you can call me anytime. Call me. But no, I wasn't. But I could have been. So, as you know, I am House MD, House Master of Divinity. I've been diagnosing spiritual anomalies since 1999, even before the Portland event. We'll just call it the Portland event. We diagnose, we question, we investigate, we connect, we reveal the truth. We know that answers are very rarely on the surface, so we go deep, baby, into the hidden patterns, the symbols, the esoteric history, the anomalies, the forbidden knowledge, because everybody lies. And I'm here to expose the liars and start some fires. That's what I'm all about. That's what I'm all about, baby. I got to do something on TikTok here. I got to put this puzzle piece in the right spot. Boom. And we're back, TikTok. And we're back. It should be noted that during religious ceremonies, the priests of Set would blow the shofar. Ooh, that's very interesting. In classical Latin, says Deborah Truax, maga is the feminine form of a female magician or sorceress. So Erica Kirk, nobody knows, but that's very, very interesting. Wolfgar. I don't want to read that one out loud, but here's Wolfgar's question. He asked if a certain person's still alive. That's in the new book, Assault on Camelot. The Rods say A hearty yes. And I agree with that 100%. Just to show you, is Jeff wearing a pink jacket tonight? No, he's not. That's not outside the realm of possibility. If you want to send me a nice pink jacket, I would rock it. Real men wear pink. Is Jeff wearing 4 rings tonight? Yes. I told you I contacted Jericho. I guess I got a little bit of the Jericho in me. So I do have 4 rings on tonight. That's how they work. So thank you, Wolfgar, for that. And there you go. So boom. Sometimes the biggest secrets are hidden in the numbers that we stop noticing. And if this episode makes you think about the Gospels a little differently, let me know what symbolism you think the 12 and the 13th represent, because we're going deep tonight, baby. And again, you can call in live, 913-228-2586. Just be polite, be interesting, be YouTube friendly. It will ask you to state your name. Again, that's to curb trolls. Only Jim doesn't have to say his name. And please put it in capitals in the chat, whether you're on TikTok or whether you're on the other platforms, and I'll see it. And if it's a good question, we'll bring you on. Or you can just say, I hate you, you're wrong, and I'll bring anybody on that says they hate me. Anybody that says I'm wrong and has the guts to call, I'll bring you on. You'll be first in line. Just put in all caps, you're wrong, but be ready to call if you do that. Okay, so again, is it as simple as Genesis 3:2:1? This comes from Colleen 2. And in Genesis 3:21, which is the 3:2:1, it says, the Lord God made garments of skin for Adam and Eve, and he clothed them. And the Lord God said, the man has become like us. He now knows good and evil. We don't want him to take from the tree of life and live forever. And a 2,400-year-old Scythian leather made of human skin confirms for centuries what we thought was an exaggeration from Herodotus. And I couldn't help but go deep into the Greek on this, because, or the Hebrew, because it says in Genesis 3:21, the Lord God made garments of skin. I have to show you this because you won't believe me if I don't. It's just that unbelievable. So let me turn my candles on so I can see the keyboard. I'm a little bit in the dark. And I'm going to pull up Bible Hub, because you've got to see what that verse means, and it will frame everything else that we're talking about in regards to this whole discussion tonight. So let me go ahead and share this with you. And this helps you know how to study the Bible, because hopefully, if you actually want to study the Bible, I want to prepare you to be able to study the Bible. And I'm going to go large screen on this so you can see it. So we want to go to Genesis 3:21. So here we are in Genesis. We're in the right spot. All we have to do is come over here to Genesis chapter 3. And then we can come down. It's usually easiest to go into King James if that's what you want. So we'll go into King James. You come down to verse 21. This is how you study the Bible. It's hyperlinked. So if you click on 21, you'll get a more literal version of alliteration of the verse. And it says, the Lord God made garments of skin for Adam and his wife. If we click on garments, we find out he made them tunics. He made them garments. He made them robes. So the Lord God, Yahweh himself, made clothes for Adam and Eve. And it says here he made them of skin. What do you think that skin could be? Is the Lord God of the Bible, Yahweh, the one you Christians worship, is he Buffalo Bill? Silence of the Lambs reference. Because if you click on skin, you find out what word it is. It's or, O-R, O-R, and it says skin, hide, or leather. Okay, Jeff. But if you go down and study, we're looking at skin, it's hide, it's leather, it's skin, it's body. We go down. Guess what the very first reference is, which means it's the most likely, it's the major mandatory reference. What does it say? What does that say on your screen? It says that the Lord God, the number one preferred usage of the word in the Old Testament, is the skin of men. The skin of men. So the Lord God, according to the Bible, and that's not a translation, that's a transliteration. Let me show you this. If you go up here and hit interlinear, it's not a translation. And besides, 2 Peter says you can't have an interpretation of any of it. It's just the Hebrew word, the English word. And if you click on that Hebrew word, you get right back here to where the Lord God, in the number one reference, made coats of human skin. What do you think about that, TikTok? You can use your own concordance right at home. Skin of men for Adam and Eve. So my mind says, which men did he make these coats of skin for? So I go back over here to 321, and I'm trying to find out which men he did it to. He did it to the men that had become like him, that now understood the good and evil that was going on in the book of Genesis, just 3 chapters in. The ones that he was afraid would take from the tree of life and live forever. Are you starting to see why Christians will never call me? Are you starting to see why Christians that will never study the Bible, never even read the Bible once from cover to cover, will go back, spend money, 30 years into my background, find something silly and make up a bunch of lies and lies and lies? Because the truth would make them have to leave Christianity. So the God of the Bible, according to the Bible, made coats of human skin of his enemies for Adam and Eve. What do y'all think about that? What do y'all think about that? Is it as simple as Genesis 3:2:1? That's why I'm House MD, Master of Divinity, because we do what he does. We diagnose and we give you the truth. Now, we're told that the Scythians, there's a hidden kosher disclosure within a hidden kosher disclosure. We're told that they were nomadic. We told that they were pastoralists. They were shepherds. We know who goes from place to place. We know who keeps sheep. King David, he comes from a long line of sheep herders, and they do more to those sheep than just herd them. But then they go in to say, oh, they use wagons for homes, and they use hit-and-run tactics. We know who moves around all the time, doesn't have their own nation. We know who keeps sheep. We know who use hit-and-run tactics. It's all over the Old Testament. But then they try to throw in this wagons for homes. That's because they're trying to build this deception, this inversion. They want to pervert another people so they can blame them for their mistakes and their atrocities. So they try to make it seem like it's the gypsies. I'm married to a Romany gypsy partially. They would use drawn wagons, but the gypsies never kept any sheep. They were not pastoralists. They never used hit and run tactics, but they're trying to put a besmearment on these great people. Yes, they were nomadic, but that was it. They didn't keep sheep, and they didn't have hit and run tactics that they were applying to other people. So this whole thing about the Romany, they want to say they came from Egypt, and that's where we get the word gyp. Egypt was not their homeland. But who did come out of Egypt in the Bible and then began to be pastoralists? Who did come out of Egypt in the Bible and began to use hit and run tactics to conquer the lands of other people? Who did that? If you could answer that, then you might find out who these people really were. But it goes even deeper. Pablo Moreno on X says that there are artifacts and Bibles in the White House that were made out of human skin. That reminds you of something else. That again is a projection and an inversion. Just trying to teach you and help you to study. But now the whole thing is that the Scythians are a lost Aryan civilization originating in Hyperborea or Atlantis. So they try to project on the gypsies and make them the bad guys. So you'll look at the gypsies and not the people that really did it. And then they try to put it on us Hyperboreans. Those of us that believe and still believe in solar and stellar religion. That's the sun and the stars. That's why space is not fake and Jose. That believe in sacred kinship. That brought in the runes, that brought in shamanic tradition, that know about the ley lines and the gold and the energies of the earth. Those of us that remember the golden age, you're trying to project this onto us so nobody will look at them. Do you see how it goes? Because if you can create another bad guy and get everybody to focus on that guy, then you don't look at the people that really did the deeds, that were really nomadic, that really were shepherds, and that really did use hit and run tactics. And it goes even deeper because they say now that the Scythians were the Hyperboreans, and they have artifacts and animal symbolism, which our people do. We were technically, artistically, and military sophisticated, which we were, and we're getting back there. So they're trying to make us look like the bad guys so that nobody realizes they're the bad guys. This is what you call going deep, ladies and gentlemen. And they try to pitch this. Now they've got this Christian identity and this Christian nationalism thing. It started out as British Israel, but when the British Empire fell, they had to turn it into Christians. It's not the British and the Israelites like we thought. It's the Christians that are the lost 10 tribes of Israel. So they start with these lost 10 tribes. They say they went to Babylon. They say they became the Scythians. They say they became our people. And that's who they are today. Of course, it's all a lie because actual history shows that when the Babylonians took the northern kingdoms captive. Thank you, Jama. When they took the northern kingdoms captive, 85% of the people just went south to Judah. So the 10 tribes were never, ever really lost. It's all a lie. And in one fell swoop, we have shown you that British Israel and Christian identity is exposed as a nonsensical theory. And it was blatantly but brilliantly constructed to absolve the proto-Abrahamics of historical atrocities, to defame and defame the Romany people, put proto-Abrahamic evils upon them, and then to con the simple-minded heathens into both taking their blame and joining their ranks, disarming the proto-Abrahamics' greatest enemy and threat to their survival. Once you see this, you can't unsee it. You can't unsee it. So now we'll get into Jesus, his disciples, and the 13. The phone lines are still open. All you have to do is call. All you have to do is call. All you have to do is call. Let me stop sharing. Okay, let's get deep. How many people were at the Last Supper? Most Christians say 13, don't even think about it. Well, what if I told you that this number 13 has carried mystical significance for thousands of years, way before there was Christianity? And as we go through tonight, ask yourself, what if the Jesus character deliberately chose 12? Because the symbolism was already there. And here's what happens when you get heathens, white people, black people, red people, brown people, yellow people. They have an ancestral memory of their own gods. They have an ancestral memory of their own ways. And tucked into that ancestral memory is this idea of 12. And Christianity takes the symbols that we remember, co-opts them, inverts them, and redefines them in order to con us into their fear and guilt Judeo-Christian mind control matrix. And the obvious fact is that Jesus plus 12 equals 13. 12 was an ancient symbol of the cosmic order. 12 months. 12 meant cosmic natural order. So why did Jesus pick 12 disciples, not 11? Did the Jesus character intentionally organize his movement like this? And how would people that were familiar with the earlier traditions of 12 connect the Jesus character? That's what they're trying to do, to get you connected in your mind. So did Christianity continue an older symbolic language and transform and invert its meaning so it would click in the minds of heathens and help suck them into this foreign religion? And I'm not handing you a finished thought here tonight. I don't tell you what to think. I used to tell you what to think. It's the old preacher in me. I just try to get you to think. I just want you to think for yourself. And if that makes me a bad guy, so be it. But I have a feeling that this might be one of those classic Christian whistleblower episodes that people will use even years from now, because it answers a very deceptive question that you thought you knew the answer to, but you really don't. Now, the number 13 has a lot of symbolism. Whether it's historical, esoteric, or occult, you think of the 13 colonies, why they make 13 instead of 12 or 11. But the Last Supper supposedly totaled 13 people. One of them was a traitor, right? Originally, there were 13 months, says Spaz. He's right. 13 has been emblematic of transformation and initiation in esoteric thought. There's a Zodiac connection. Jesus placing himself as the sun, the S-O-N, the sun, the S-U-N, and the 12 Zodiac signs. Claudette seems to be surprised. She's like, wow, I'm really surprised. I'm really surprised. Charles Glenn says that he hasn't read that the 10 northern tribes were taken captive. They weren't. 85% of them went south to Judah. Just a little historical fact I thought I'd drop on you. And also 12 has been linked to the lunar year and the human female cycle. And some esoteric writers will contrast that with the Jesus sausage party. 11 teenagers, young boys, Peter and Jesus, who were of age. And I've proven that to you. Also in the tarot, the 13th major arcana is death. It's death. And I do have my tarot cards tonight. Maybe we'll get to the place where if you want to have a tarot card pulled, I can pull a tarot card for you. We also have the Gypsy Witch cards in honor of Her Majesty. And I have my old favorite. I found them, the Star Trek fortune-telling divination cards. So maybe we'll get to that. Maybe we won't. But you can still put your questions in caps if you want. I'll open the phone lines to you. Or you can put Rod questions in all caps. And I'll open the phone lines to you as well. So if the 13th is death, and Jesus was the 13th, Friday the 13th, J. Mars brings up, and there's great data that suggests that Jesus was crucified, if he was, it's a story, on Friday the 13th. So Jesus and the 12 tribes of Israel equals 13, doesn't it? And it goes on to say that there's 12 generations in the New Testament, and Christianity is the 13th generation. 13 is associated with death. Does the 13th generation of Christianity bring death to the original natural order of 12? Wow. Wow. Is this just coincidence, or are we uncovering something here? 12 zodiac signs, 12 lunar divisions of the year, 12 Olympian gods, 12 sons of Odin, 12 divine councils, and several heathen faiths, 12 tribes of Israel. But what stands in the middle of those systems? Well, it depends upon which system you're talking about, doesn't it? The 13th is the catalyst. 12 is natural order. 13 disrupts natural order. Like Muhammad Ali was saying, the natural order is the bluebirds hang with bluebirds, the redbirds hang with redbirds. Nature shows that beings hang out with people like themselves. And by the way, when you see the watering hole on National Geographic, the lions are on one side, the tigers are over here, the giraffes are over here, the gazelles are over here. They're all drinking. And only the crocodiles violate the détente of the watering hole, because that crocodile will come out and bite anybody. He's a reptile. And not all reptilians are bad, but it's just an interesting thing. So 12 is the natural order. 12 represents the pre-Christian natural world. And here comes 13. The 13 is the force that disrupts the natural order. Rick, listen, Rick. Let me read your... Rick, this is a call-in show. It's not a write-in show. We don't allow cowardly drive-by evangelism. If you have something you want to say and you can be polite and be interesting, put it in all caps and call in. Stop being a keyboard cowboy. We don't allow that. We do not allow that. So this 13th figure doesn't join the 12. It destroys the 12. It reorders the 12. It inverts the 12. Is it possible that 12 being the number of natural order pre-Christian, here comes Jesus to disrupt the natural order? Rick, I'm trying to be nice, but you will be banned if you don't pick up a phone. Jesus gathers 12. King Arthur gathered 12. Esoteric traditions speak of a hidden master surrounded by 12 initiates. The sun surrounded by the 12 zodiacs. In each case, 12 is a complete circle. And the 13th either finds unity or it finds inversion and destroys everything. So it's up to you to decide. What brings unity and what brings destruction? And make your own decisions from there. You might want to sit with that for a little while. And if you think symbolically, 12 does have both mathematical and even cosmological. I know some of you flat earthers, you don't want to talk about stars and planets. That's why they've sucked you into Christianity, because they want you to believe that space is fake and Jose. I don't know if I can say that word on some of the platforms. So the greatest mysteries are hidden in the stars. And they want you to think that those aren't real because they don't want you to understand the greatest mysteries. And if you're a flat earther, you came into flat earth because you were questioning. And now you've stopped questioning when it comes to the Bible. Why? Why? I don't get it. 12 divides evenly by 2, 3, 4, and 6. That makes it a natural number for expressing completeness, order, and cycles. But 12 also completes, when it's run by Jesus, a perfect 3x4 box, a cube, which the New Jerusalem is, we're told in the book of Revelation, which the cross unfolds into, a cube, 3x4, 4 up and down, 3 across. In ancient pre-Abrahamic cultures, used 12 to organize time and space and government and cosmology. Has Jesus, the idea of Jesus, Has he helped bring unity to that or destruction? I'll leave that for your consideration. I'll leave that to your consideration. And you're trying to get away from Israel, but do you think Jesus might have selected, if he were real, he might have selected 12 disciples because it correlates exactly with the 12 tribes of Israel? And if you're wondering what I'm putting in my mouth, it's the nicotine pouches, which are great for weight control and energy. If you want to get a nice discount on nicotine patches, send me an email. I'll send you a nice link, get you $30 off. And I get free stuff, and I go through these, baby. I go through these. So there's that. Did Jesus intentionally bring proto-Abrahamism into union with heathen esoterica? Present himself as the 13th, the disruptor? Did he? Consider this. I'm starting to do this almost every deprogram. But before Jesus, you said it right the first time, Spaz. I'm joking with you. Before Jesus, let Jim speak. Give me a second, Jim, to share the screen. How you doing tonight, brother? All right, excellent. So I hope you got something good for us like you always do. Okay, Jim, you're live. Lay it on us, brother.
Okay, I see this a little bit differently.
Okay.
About the 12 apostles around the table. The 13th, in my opinion, was Mary Magdalene.
That's interesting.
She, if you take her name, Mary, of course, always reserved the water, the power of the water. But the last name, if you take it in 3 syllables, and each one is saying that she's the God and the God of power. So, I used to have it all written down, but I lost it where I put it. I try to go from my memory, but mag is like the magic. Okay, Darlene is going to, I believe, right, was the tower of God. Lynn was saying that she was a god.
I'm with you.
So, I mean, you could double check on it. Like I said, it was such a long time when I had my head
No, I think
straight.
you're right. I remember that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So that was pretty much what was on my mind when you were mentioning that, because I just saw her as being the 13th, the feminine energy around the table.
And we do need feminine energy to complete humanity. We need the strong masculine energy, and we also need the feminine energy. So I think your point is very well taken.
Well, I would say this, that when I'm in love with a girl, or very interested in a girl, my power's more than double.
That's fantastic, and it's true.
It does. I mean, it's if I'm psychic, people, I mean, you're pretty psychic, but when I start seeing feelings of emotion, I can say things to blow people out of the waters when I have love for somebody. For some reason, it works through the feminine energy that I connect to.
And I'm willing to bet that you become more empathetic, you become more sensitive, you see and hold more when you have a good dose of feminine energy aligning with your masculine energy.
Well, I'll give you a little example. My ex-wife and I had got a divorce, and it's about 6 months later. But she was very into magic, and she's from Brazil, and she was into the religions there. And anyway, we went to New Orleans, and she wanted me to pick out a good reader for her to go to, because I quit reading for her. I wouldn't do it no more. And I said, well, this guy's really good. Why don't you go see him? That's what I feel. But the guy actually had a line, and so she couldn't get to him. Says, well, I guess I'll pick me one. And she sees a guy sitting at the table, goes to sit with that person. And I just shook my head. I said, I don't think he should. He said, no, I think he'll be a good one. I said, all right. So I got me a cup of coffee as I was watching her get her reading. And it just kept going on and on and on. I'm going, this is enough shit. I mean, my wife was a good-looking woman, and it was just flirting at this point. So I'll go over to the table because she already ran me from the table to start with. I didn't say that part. So anyway, I said, look, let's get this done. I said, we need to go. She goes, no, he still has more information. I said, no, he's bullshitting you. I said, he's not reading you at all. He's just playing with you. And he goes, I am a reader. I'm a good reader. And he's going on and on. I said, really? I said, I could read this within about 5 minutes. He goes, well, what do you mean? I said, let me touch your deck of cards. Said, well, you're not touching my cards. I said, well, I really don't have to do that. And I said, let me tell you, when you were about 13 years old, you got knocked off the top of some stairs by your stepfather. You hit the bottom of the stairs and broke your hip. And because of that, you now have a limp. The guy freaked out. And so my wife and I walk off. He's mad at me, fussing at me. The guy gets up to walk, go talk to some of the psychic readers. She was limping to the table. And it freaked him totally out.
That's great stuff, Jim. You always drop something good on us.
Yeah, I said, that's how you read. But anyway, I'll let you back to your show, buddy.
Thank you, brother.
All right. Yes, they are.
And they make us better, don't they?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Oh, I said a good one. Thank you, brother.
When you find a good one.
Take care. Yeah. Wow. Great call from Jim. I really appreciate him calling in. And I'm trying to be nice to people, maybe too nice. And there's also a guy named Tesla that said, if you understand 3, 6, and 9, you'll start to understand the universe. So I'm wondering if it's been intentionally overlooked that the natural order was 12 and that the 13th, Jesus, completely upset that. And if you remember in Matthew 19 and Luke 22, Jesus says that the 12 will sit as judges. Who are they to judge us? Because the world before Christianity came was like this. It was a straight line from man at the bottom to divinity at the top. We could go straight to the Most High, and we still can. And we could go straight to divinity that exists between the Most High and us. Our elemental spirits, our ancestral spirits. But Jesus comes along, and I think you'll recognize this. Jesus comes along, and all of a sudden, in this 3x4 cube, there becomes a crossbeam. And now, instead of us going freely from humanity up to divinity, now there's this cross that blocks our access to divinity. And it's now just one mediator between God and man. Do you really want to put a middleman between you and the divine? That's what you've done with the cross. Some of you are wearing it around your neck right now, and that is a public declaration that you no longer have connection with the divine. Never, ever, ever have connection with the divine. Is that okay with you? You don't have to be. 13's been a very good number for me as well. Alden says, what are your thoughts on Joseph Smith and the Mormon gold plates? One of my first books was called Joseph Smith is Not a Liar. I don't know whatever happened to that book, but I think Joseph Smith was a heathen guy. I think Joseph Smith saw a lot of things, did a lot of things. Joseph Smith used divining rods, and he was good at it. He had the largest militia outside the U.S. military. The miracles of the Mormons leaving New York, going to Missouri, going to Utah, crazy. 13 says, or Kylie says 13's her lucky number. Joseph Smith had a lot going on. I think he got off track, but I don't think there was ever any gold plates. Nobody ever saw him except for Joseph, except for some of the other apostles, which all went apostatized from Mormonism. But Joseph Smith was a very interesting character. So is this whole idea of Jesus being the 13th set to upset the natural order. Did it take it from the natural earth order and take it into the Abrahamic order? Escaping the Links asks, is it fair to say you've drastically changed your views from 9 to 10 years ago when you were covering the Nag Hammadi? You talked about the Christ versus plastic Jesus. Yes. And can I be just transparent and honest and kind of grandfatherly to you? I'm 63 years old. I'm probably old enough to be most of your grandfathers or your father, or at least your older brother. If you haven't changed drastically in 9 or 10 years, that's called stagnation. If you haven't grown esoterically in 9 or 10 years, you're really not living, you're dying. So yes, I have changed drastically from 9 to 10 years ago. And it's interesting you ask about Jesus and the Christ, because I actually wrote a book and went on Coast to Coast AM with that book called Jesus and the Christ. Sorry, TikTok. I reapplied. Hopefully they'll let me restream to TikTok again, and you'll be able to see everything that's on the screen. But yes. Kylie says, I'm a year younger than her dad. Oh, good. I like to be younger because I'm usually only younger than trees. I'm usually only younger than trees. I do use stevia. I don't use Zevia, but I use stevia, Mav. And how are your rods, by the way? I will try Zevia. I don't love it so much. I need the caffeine as I'm still on my weight loss journey. I'm about maybe 4 pounds away from where I want to be. And I'll probably stop drinking the soda then. I know it has aspartame and, but anyway. So I'm going to rewrite that book too, the Jesus and the Christ, because Jesus and the Christ is this right here. The Christ was here, direct access, because Christ isn't a name. Christ is the Greek word Christos, and it means the anointing, the flow. It means the empowerment to do great acts in service of humanity. It means being able to act with the divinity within you. That's the Christ. And the word is Christos. It never should have been brought across as Christ, because in language, you don't translate a word straight over unless it's a proper name. And we know Christ wasn't. So Christos is this, direct access to divinity. Jesus as the Christ is this, cutting off that access we have to divinity and becoming the only mediator between God and man. Why do you need a middleman? If you have a middleman, any type of financial transaction, it costs you more. This is costing you more, and it's costing you a lot. Great question, Alden. I appreciate that. If you had put it in all caps, I might have seen it sooner. So they think they're going to judge us. Who are they to judge us? They have a record of atrocities. How can they judge us? Well, because Jesus says so. Here's a question. Suppose a civilization wanted to come along, turn upside down the natural order, take over the whole world. Do you think they might leverage that sacred number 12 that's in all of our heathen brains? And do you think they might bring a 13th figure that turns everything upside down? Do you think they might craft a verse like Galatians 3:28 that says there's no more male or female anymore? That's called androgyny. It's called tikkun olam. Do you think they might create a Galatians 3:28 verse that says there is no race anymore? That we've all become one? This is why you got dudes hoping to be part of the bride of Christ, which is so weird. Spaz, actually, Christos wasn't an ointment. It just carried the idea of flow and the anointing. It means the flow, the anointing, the connection to divinity for everybody. What if instead of Christianity just copying paganism, which they demonstrably did, and thanks for the hearts on TikTok, what if they employed some of humanity's oldest symbolic patterns and inverted their meaning? That's a much richer question in my mind. It acknowledges the ancient structure, and I get a lot of these people saying, well, Christianity has a lot of ancient heathen structure in it. Of course it does, because it's trying to appeal to your ancestral memory. And it's trying to make it easy for people like Rick Johnson that can't pick up a phone and don't want to study to say, oh, it's just incorporating us all into the new order. I don't want your new world order. I want the old world order, the golden age, where we all had our own people, we all optimized ourselves, we all had cultural interchange, and we knew who we were. And there was no world wars until there was a world religion. You might want to chew on that one for a minute. And if 12 was a natural order, then the real mystery would be, why did Jesus come and upset that as the 13th? Who or what is the 13th? In pre-Christian traditions, 12 was the natural order. 13th is that thing that comes from beyond, from the other side, that upsets the natural order. What do you think about that? The 13th is the force that breaks up the natural order. The Jesus character, with the threat of eternal hellfire, turn or burn, his demands of obedience unquestioned, his demand that you give yourself as a living sacrifice, his demand that you die to self and let Christ live within you, his demand that he requires him and his Father to actually be living physically in you, taking in two entities, his demand that you take every thought captive to obedience to him. How can you be a truther when your thoughts are taken captive to a certain order of thought? I would suggest you can't. And if you look at it from this perspective, does the symbolic shift from awakening the divine within each of us to devotion to one middleman and a savior from beyond? Wolfgar, I would not argue with that at all. I think you're 100% right. He says that the Bible was created to destroy Rome. We've had the great Joseph Atwell on this deprogram many times, and he concurs. One of the greatest compliments I ever got was Joseph Atwell telling me that my work was some of the most important work in the world, and I had to keep going. I was about ready to give up. When Joseph Atwell says that, that's something. Let me suggest this to you, just for your consideration. Just for your consideration. What if you considered this for just a minute? Consider this just for a minute. If there was somebody that wanted to suggest that our natural world has been inverted, could you describe it this way? In our old golden age, we thought that we had initiation through knowledge and learning. Today, we have salvation because all of a sudden we don't have the spark of divinity within. We have original sin. And the best that we can hope for is to be sinners saved by grace. So did we get potentially inverted from seeking knowledge and wisdom, which is what logos meant? It's a heathen word that they stole. They had their own language. Why didn't they use it? Have we been inverted from knowledge into obedience through faith in this created Jesus character? He wasn't real. I challenge any of you to call in and prove to me that Jesus was real. Extraordinary claims demand extraordinary evidence. And if Jesus is real, certainly you could prove it. It shouldn't take you 30 seconds. Have we been inverted from the idea that you have to work to find wisdom into all you have to do is believe a message that somebody else teaches you from a pulpit? And I was a guy that was on a pulpit for 25 years. Thank you, Jim. Have we gone from working and studying and learning to just believing a pre-digested message? I use the analogy of a baby bird in a nest. You know how a baby bird gets fed? He sits there, the mom goes and eats, comes back and throws up in his mouth. No, it's not fair to say that, escaping the lie. Isn't it fair to show that no one from antiquity can be proven real? No, of course not. We have verified historical evidence of every historical figure but Jesus. Is it fair to say that you might be possessed by cognitive dissonance? Is it fair to say you might be possessed by confirmation bias? Just give me one proof Jesus was real and I'll shut up. But they can't and they won't. Is it possible that we've gone from the idea of cyclical death and rebirth? Death is not a big deal. Death is a part of life. Everybody dies. The thing is to die well. How much better can a man die than facing impossible odds for the ashes of his fathers in the temple of his gods? This is what we believed for at least 50,000 years until Christianity reared its ugly head. Now we've gone from these cycles of death and rebirth, and we fear death because now it's just one decisive historical death and then judgment. That idea is the Johnny-come-lately of religions. We all knew that there's many cycles. Now we think that it's one and done, heaven and hell, turn or burn. Have we been removed from the ancient idea? Somebody says, why is Jesus hiding? Why is it so hard to find him? Have we been removed from the ancient idea that we all have inner divinity and latent potential into this idea that we're now at best sinners saved by grace? Do you really think that he's going to save you from the sin he gave you? Just thought you might want to consider that. Just thought you might want to consider that. Maybe not. And if you don't, you might want to ask yourself why. I'm almost finished. "12 has always been the sacred order, the natural order. I have a minor degree in geography. I'm well acquainted with the scientific method, with empirical study. And for at least 50,000 years, I use that number because we know for at least 50,000 years that humanity has had culture sophisticated enough to support religion. And that's just from the scientific view. And for 48,000 of those years, there was no Christianity. There wasn't even any Judaism. And you expect me to believe that 2,000 years ago, there came this thing called Christianity. And you expect me to believe there was no morality, there was no goodness, there was no innate human kindness. So my question becomes, if all of the esoteric traditions before Christianity had at their center this divinity straight up to humanity, do you really think that 2,000 years ago came this, which cuts us off from divinity, puts a middleman, and it made us better Is that what you believe on TikTok? Is that what you believe on X and YouTube and Facebook and Rumble? And if you can, why? And if you do, couldn't you at least believe that, prove to me that this was a real dude? I don't think I'm asking very much. In our pre-Christian heathen traditions, knowledge, inherent divine spark within each one of us was the center. It was a 13 if you want. We were our own 13. Along comes Christianity, and the center, instead of our own divinity, becomes the dude that supposedly did a deed that we can't even prove was real. And just for another fun thought, the guy said the only way, his own book says the only way he could be real is if he spent 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the earth. How do you do that when you die on Friday and rise at sunrise on Sunday? You don't. So somebody arguing for an inversion could say the symbolic architecture remained recognizable, so it would ring true in heathen minds, but it became inverted and radically altered with the center changed from this to this. You might think differently about the old rugged cross. And just in case you missed it, Christianity emerged from Second Temple Judaism. Jesus was a Pharisee. I've proven it 33 times in the New Testament. He's called rabbi. He's also called teacher. There's 2 different words, teacher and rabbi. All rabbis were teachers. Not all teachers were rabbis. Jesus preached the resurrection. There was only 2 parties. The Essenes were made up. There's only 2 parties. Sadducees, Pharisees. Sadducees didn't believe in the resurrection. Jesus had to be a Pharisee. Carmen says the middleman gets some money. Why is religion all about money? Christianity. So the central figure embodying all pre-Christian religions is the inherent divinity within the human, the latent potential within the human. What if you don't have original sin? What if you've got the spark of divine within? What if you're really divine, sovereign, and free? Zach, you couldn't have had anything to do with the torturing of a guy that never existed, which is a great point. Zach says, I had nothing to do with the torturing of Jesus. It's hard to torture a guy that wasn't real. But today, we have very different understandings of authority, very different understandings of knowledge, very different understandings of humanity's relationship to the divine. This is what I do. I'm the best in the world at what I do. They keep coming at me. And I just get better and better. Did Jesus come to target an already existing esoteric architecture, to invert it? Now, we've investigated whether Jesus and his disciples preserved and leveraged an ancient esoteric architecture and then inverted it and transformed it into an inverted Judeo-Christian narrative. And they even stole the word gospel. It's our word. It means the great news of the victories of the heathens. Did Christianity invert the human Christos, our heritage as divine, sovereign, and free individuals, into a single Christ demanding unquestioned obedience or eternal torture in a lake of fire? I hope that I've encouraged some thoughtful examination on your part tonight. And I have a question for you. Are you one of the last generation of real humans? Or do you want to be part of a chosen generation of a God from beyond. The word Hebrew means from beyond, from the other side. Take care, Spaz. Do you want to be who you are, or do you want to be just another part of the Abrahamic inversion? It's up to you. It's up to you. You're divine, sovereign, and free. You don't have to go on bended knee to somebody else's savior. The Jesus character intentionally chose 12 disciples. Why 12? Was he leveraging the natural order? And who and what do you think encompasses that 13th position? Do you want the 13th position to be your own divinity, sovereignty, and freedom? Pardon me for the nicotine cough. Or do you want the middleman? It's up to you. Nobody does it better. Nobody chooses for you better than you do. We're our own saviors, as J. Mars says. What do you want? Do you want this? The 48,000 year at least esoteric motive of all human thought? Or do you want this? The Johnny come lately 2,000 year no sex, no race, heaven and hell, turn or burn. Which one do you want? And I just want to remind you, sometimes the biggest secrets are hidden in the numbers that you stop noticing, 12, 13. And if this episode made you look at the Jesus story differently, let me know what symbolism you think encompasses the 12. What do you think the 13th represents? I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And Alden studied, and he's right, evangelion, which they say is spreading their message, the Christians. It's a Greek word that means spreading the message of the good news of heathen victory. I'm House MD. That's what I do. The Master of Divinity. Patterns, symbols, myth, history, truth. Answers are rarely on the surface. Look at the hidden patterns. Look at the symbols. Look at the esoteric history. Look at the anomalies. Look at the forbidden knowledge. Diagnose them. Question them. Investigate them. Connect them. Find the real truth. You know what the real truth is? The truth you find for yourself. Because everybody lies. And I've been breaking this down for you since 1999. And that's Jesus, his disciples, and the 13. And that's all I got. We'll keep the phone lines open for a minute. 913-228-2586. Be polite, be interesting, be platform friendly. State your name to curb the trolls. I'm the Christian Whistleblower, Jeffrey Daugherty, doing what I do, often imitated, never duplicated. Still bringing you the mail. And that's all I got. That's all I got for you tonight. Thank you, J. Mars. I appreciate it. Thank you, J. Mars. I appreciate it. we got a phone call. It might be Jim again. I'm not sure. Whoops. Let me get to it.
Call from.
Is that you, Jim?
That's me, yeah.
Give me a second to share the screen. Yeah. I'm going to replace this one with that one. And you are live, my friend. Go ahead.
There's a story I wanted to tell you. You know, for a while I've been wanting to say, but it's an unpleasant story that I experienced. But I was, I guess, about 17 years old. And the reason I bring these subjects up is because God works through it if you pay attention to it. And that's, you know, I know it sounds strange, but I've really called God whisper. So when I think of God, I ask for whisper. And that's when I can hear or feel things. But anyway, yes, and it for me, it just places who God is, if you want to pay attention. But back to go ahead. Yeah. So I was thinking I'd get a cigarette. I was living with my grandparents, and it's a two-story house, and one part of the house kind of dropped low, and I can go out my window and get up on top of it, kind of sit up and look at everything around. I just enjoyed it being up high like that. And we were a corner house. We had lived on a big street, but the other street was a 5-lane street. So there was a house catty-cornered from me, and I could see their house clear. And I was smoking a cigarette, and I thought it was a friend of mine coming out of the window with a rifle. Well, I thought it was a pellet gun. And it wasn't the kid that I thought it was his older brother, which they look alike. And I said, man, well, I guess I'm going to be shooting birds. I don't want to be seeing people shooting birds, you know. And he takes it and points the barrel to his head and shoots himself right in the head.
Oh, no.
And I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I said, well, certainly the parents and stuff going to be coming out quick to get to him. And I waited, and he's still up on the roof and no one's come out. So I didn't hear the gunshot. So I crawled off the house, ran over to his house, banging on his door. And
Call from. To accept.
phone. Yeah. That's right. So I ran over to his house across the street, started banging on the door, and his parents came out. And I told him, I said, y'all need to go up to the roof. Their son just shot himself. You go, what? I said, he's up on the roof. He shot himself. And his younger brother was there too, who I knew well. And we run up there, and man, it was just an ugly sight, what the family was going through.
So he actually shot himself with a real gun?
Yeah, I thought it was a pellet rifle. It was a real rifle. And he shot himself committing suicide. And it upset me so bad. And I told him, I said, look, I need to go back home. I said, sure, son, please go on. And they were crying and everything, and I just want to get out of it. So it was a week later, they put a for sale sign on their house, which they couldn't go to the house. It just upset them so much. 2 weeks after that, they were still living there. It was about 9 o'clock at night. I decided I'm going to go to the park. And at that time, you could stay out till 12 o'clock at night without any problems with police or anything. There was always a couple of dozen people around the lake. And I pulled up to the lake. I saw a girl I knew, started talking to her, and I never really walked out. There's a big pier on the lake that makes a T at the end, out in the middle of the lake. It had like a T cross. And I said, girl, let's go to the pier. So we go to the foot of the pier, and I start to make out a little bit with her, and all of a sudden I start hearing this bubbling noise. I said, is your stomach okay? She goes, I'm not doing anything. She goes, no, I heard a bubbling. You okay? She goes, that wasn't me. And so a little while later, I said, let's walk further down. So we went further down the pier. And then I started hearing the gurgling again and the bubbling. And I said, that's weird. I keep hearing that. And she goes, I don't hear nothing. So I'm telling you, I hear it. And I even went down the floor, kind of looked down the water, see if something was under the pier. There was nothing. But on the pier, you can see everyone on the, there's no one on the pier but us two. I said, this is just weird. I just don't, something's not right. And I walked further to the T end, and the girl says, let's go back to the car. I said, no. I said, this is, I just heard one bloop, then it was no noise. And when I heard it again, she goes, I swear I don't hear anything. Let's go back to the car. We started to walk back, and I stopped. I said, I got to walk to the end. I just got to do it. I walked to the end, and there's a guy laying on his stomach on the pier. They drank so much, they threw up so much that the way they were laying their head on the forearm, the vomit went up, passed up to her ears. And he drowned himself while I'm there. He wasn't breathing. And I grabbed him and I pulled him out and found out it was my friend that witnessed his brother.
Oh my.
And I cleaned him up. It was just so nasty. I cleaned him up, got him to the car, got him back to his family. You know, here they almost going to lose a second one with me being there. And I go to the door and get the parents to come, and, you know, and I never saw him again after that. So the point is, what are the odds of me seeing his older brother commit suicide and they'd be there right when their son was going to be dead? I wasn't there.
Well, at least you got to save one of them, Jim.
I know, but you know, what are the odds? For me, that blows my mind away, that for me to be there at that time and to pay attention and to be able to know that I need to be there.
Yeah, that's not coincidence. And interestingly, you were with the girl that you were at least a little bit into.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Adios. Okay. I can't see how to disconnect Jim. But as I shared with you in the chat, I can only take one call at a time. So you have to wait for Jim to hang up before you can call in. Now, Jim has hung up, so you can go ahead and call in now. And we'll be happy to take your call. But I can only take one call at a time. And the phone number is in the chat several times. Let me go ahead and share that again. So if you've been calling in, I know somebody's been calling in. If you're not going to hang up on me again, call in. Call in. Here's the phone number. I'm putting it in the chat, 913-256. 913-228. You think I'd memorize it? 228. Whoops, 2586. Okay, here we go. Hope they won't hang up on me.
Call from
Robert.
Robert, you're live with Jeffrey Daugherty. What's on your mind?
Hey, Jeffrey. I just wanted to mention something I had noticed years ago. I'll just be honest up front. I was a member of the Mason Lodge.
Okay.
Just the Blue Lodge years ago. I stopped going, just kind of lost interest in it. But I used to sit there. I didn't ever ask any questions about it, but I would sit there and just kind of zone out.
Right.
And count the chairs. Not the actual, like visitor chairs, but the actual chairs of the lodge. And I'm sure you know, or maybe you don't, but there's like, you know, there's 12 chairs, 12 actual chairs of the lodge. But there was always this extra chair.
Wow.
It was just kind of off by itself. And I never asked anybody. I didn't want to look suspicious, but it was just kind of odd to me. Now, I also know that the Order of the Eastern Star, you know, they shared the lodge, and I never had been there when they were there, so I didn't know if it was a part of the women's thing that they needed that chair or what the use was. I never found out what it was for, but I did always notice that there was a 13th chair in that lodge, and I just never figured it out, you know?
Wow, I'm really glad you shared that. That's very, very interesting. I'll have to think on that.
Yeah. No, I did hear, it was years ago, probably on I think it was on the network that Alex Jones was on with the shortwave radio. I mean, this is going way back, way back.
Right.
And there was a lady that said one time that there was an extra chair before I ever even knew anything about the Masons. But she said there was an extra chair in the lodge just in case Lucifer showed up. Now, I don't know, you know, take it for what it's worth. It was just something I'd heard years ago on the, I can't remember that network. But that's
it was there for somebody.
It was there. Like I said, I didn't want to draw any suspicion, you know, and I never said anything or ever asked anything like, hey, what's that chair for? But just when I thought that contributes tonight to your show.
Thank you very much for calling in. That was great.
Thank you.
Call from.
Damn.
Live in the 713 area code. What's on your mind? You're live again, 713. You hung up again. I don't know why he hung up again. Maybe he's shy. I don't know. We'll give him one more second to call in. I can only take one call at a time. So if you hear somebody on, just wait till they hang up. But 913-228-2586, it's right on the screen there, right by my glasses. Interesting stuff tonight. And if I keep getting a lot of calls, I'll go back to Ring Central, but it costs me $50 a month. And that way we can put people on hold. And I guess I could do it here, but I just have to tell the person that's calling in I'm going to put them on hold. But if you want to call back, do it now. 913-228-2586. 913-228-2586. I'm getting a little tired. Maybe we'll bring this to an end. Here he is.
Call from.
Sam, you're live with Jeffrey Daugherty. What's on your mind?
Hey, thank you for taking my call, Jeff.
Sorry for the trouble.
Oh, no, not at all. I'm always a little bit behind, so I'm never like hearing it exactly live. I'll try to be better about that. But yeah, thank you again for taking my call. Try to keep it short and sweet. I know you're trying to get out.
Okay, go ahead.
I wanted to mention about the show tonight. I think that the number 13, you know, it gets a pretty bad rap. I would agree with you in that Jesus does disrupt the natural order of things, but I wouldn't want to put the 13 in a bad light. The way I look at it is, 12's everywhere. I look at 13 as us, as the one observing 12.
I agree with you.
Yeah, and of course, Jesus always wants to put himself in our shoes or in our place, which is funny for someone who didn't even exist. We can't even think without praying through him. But I think 13 gets a bad rap. I think 13 is actually the observer, the one observing the 12.
I agree with you 100%. That's a great point. So is it us and our divinity, or are we going to outsource it to another character?
Exactly. And that's common sense right there. The answer should be at least. I
think so.
And for sure. And my second point was just you had a show recently where you touched on the subject of the berserker and being able to kind of channel the animal spirit.
Yes.
I think you should do a show, just as a friendly suggestion, I think you should do a show on that. I think it'd be great. Maybe even touch on the subject of mythological creatures. There's a lot of documentation and old maps depicting dragons, unicorns. Of course, Scotland has a lot of lore.
That's a great point. I wrote that down. I'm going to do that.
Do it. I bet you do a great show. And griffins, all those kind of animals that they want to write off as fake. I'm sure there's a reason why they don't want us to consider that. as an animal that maybe we could actually channel.
Great
and,
call,
get
man. I
from.
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Hey, you have a great night. Okay, thank you again.
Keep calling. Thanks. Bye-bye. He's right. And Deborah brings up a good point. The baker's dozen. Do you want to bake your own stuff? Make up your own. Make up your own baker's dozen. Dead Wolf says he made 13 great again. I don't doubt it. Dead Wolf 13 Resistance or Dead Wolf Resistance 13. Great channel if you're want to learn about historical European martial arts. He's one of our great supporters, and we want to give him a good shout out. All right. And they are not fake. I agree with you. These great animals are real, and we do need to get in touch with our animal guides. Well, I appreciate you all very, very much. I'm going to go ahead and drop off a TikTok here. Thank you, TikTok. Appreciate you. See you again real soon. So we're off at TikTok. Whoops. Dismissed. They're telling me, oh, I earned a whole 5 cents tonight on TikTok. How about that? That's better than no cents, right? So anyway, folks, that's going to wrap us up, I think, for tonight. We really appreciate you. It's been a good time. And I've really enjoyed being with you tonight. So the phone lines are now closed. We'll go ahead and turn off all the captions. Let's turn that off. And I think I'm going to go, instead of the Wednesday night show, we're having declining attendance on that. I think we're going to go for a new audience and do a Wednesday deprogram during the daytime. We'll see how that works. Feel free to give me your feedback on that. But I do appreciate all of you being here tonight. I know you got other things you can do. We had a great crowd tonight, and it's been fun. I got really tired for some weird reason. But I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. I'm saluting you for being here seeking after truth. What if you don't have original sin? What if you got the spark of divinity within? What if you're divine, sovereign, and free? And don't need to go on bended knee to somebody else's savior, hoping he'll save you from the sin he gave you. What if you're one of the last generations of real humans? The last generation of real humans. And I can promise you, this world will be better than it's ever been, as we're realizing who we are. We'll be back Wednesday night. I salute you again for being here seeking after truth. Be well. Remember who you are. And don't let anybody sell you short. You don't need a middleman. Take care. I love you all very much. And thanks for being here tonight. Adios.